Hello and welcome back to Rolex Play, where we roll dice and play games. Yes, that's us. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold the phone. Yes, there's only two of us here. It's just one-on-one make two, quick maths, and I'm joined here with Cassie today.
I don't like how you phrase that. Gotta be
Well,
honest.
hopefully we're not doing too much math because that's why we have a nice little dice roller in the middle of us to do the counting for us because I can't count.
Neither
But
can I. Hey.
excellent twinning. Here we are, back for another session. As you can probably see by the title, this is session 45.2. So this is going to be part 2 of the session which we just had last week, continuing the kind of conversation that Thorn was about to have with a person in dreams, a person who seems to live or at least is adapted to the dream world itself. So we're just going to kind of go over that conversation and a few other tidbits as well. We're going to be delving into some elements. Won't spoil too much. Some that Cassie doesn't even know yet, but we'll see how it goes. But yes, so picking up where we last left off, you are find yourself in this dreamscape area where none of your friends or any of your allies are currently present. You were brought here originally by Cherry, and they have ran off and disappeared through the appearance of the large kind of tendrils and orange glowing eyes, which have been referred to as the Nightmare, an entity which oversees and controls the dreamscape. Their presence alone is bringing you fear, but that had been broken up by someone who seems to whisper to the nightmare itself and calls him Pumpkin by all the names out there. Chose Pumpkin for some strange reason. A 10-year-old girl who has arrived through essentially the same space in which the nightmare inhabits, pushing their way into this dream and investigating it, why the nightmare was so confused or at least alerted by the presence of Thorn here, a person who has entered dreams physically. I say in air quotes because they're not technically here physically, but they have pushed their way through the veil and they are present when they should not be normally. Through a light discussion and an introduction, the tension had died, the large orange eyes had pulled away, and are just a general kind of presence here now. Not physically formed, they are almost semi-translucent, as you're seeing them further in the distance, in the mountainscapes, in the sky, as everything is returned and reverted to a dreamscape scenario. They are just constantly watching, but not interjecting. Yet you have Lily here. So Thorn, you see a couple of drinks have been conjured. A creamy kind of pineapple scented drink for Lily, which she seems to have held in one hand. And you have summoned a water. The two of you currently in this space are beginning to discuss the involvement or the necessity of this dream entity and the influence of the material plane on the dreamscape. So I'll leave that to you. So you see Lily just kind of look over. So tell me then, you're here for a reason, clearly. An introduction with Nightmare has brought me to your presence. So please, what is wrong? Why did you need the eyes or the ears or the mouth of the Nightmare?
Well, if I'm being honest, I think there's something going wrong in the dreamscape. Have you ever heard of a man named Siren Worm?
Siren Worm. Not by that name specifically, no.
He has other names, you think?
I've not met anyone that has that name. Describe them to me. What is so important about this Siren?
Well, if I can remember, he was described as a being older than time. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Thorn will give a quick depiction of how he looks like. And I think as she goes into describing Siren, the dream around her kind of like warbles a bit at the memory of him.
Yeah. Elements of the surroundings, the mountains begin to almost turn further into the distance, and everything gets slightly colder, slightly more grayed in tone, to where only the two of you are the most vibrant colors here. The grass bed is just grayed completely, and the sky itself is blue, but it's pale in comparison to what it should be. Everything has just been drained of its color as this more drab conversation goes on. Oh, I've not met or know of anyone of that description. Old as time. Well, there's quite a few creatures out there that have been known to live longer than others. I know the Calorak, sorry, the Nightmare as you call him, is, well, old enough, but not older than time itself. There are creatures out there that are. They've been around since the beginning of time, but most of them tend to keep to themselves. They don't try and become too prominent, because otherwise, if they are, then an imbalance will happen and, well, devastation for the most part. There is a fine line to order in this world, and, well, it's a tricky balance. Even in a dreamscape, here is where probability and possibility are all tangled together in a fine mess. You can dream up something and it can come true, but who knows, maybe there is an ulterior consequence of it. No one truly knows what happens in the dreamscape. There's only a few that call it home.
Yeah. With Siren, I think he's made a place in the dreamscape, and he's harboring one of my friends, and I think he's done something very bad to them.
You see for a moment she kind of focuses. She grabs her flute that she's been carrying. If you just give me 1 second. And she'll just kind of place it in line with her nose. And you see her eyes kind of focus for a moment, and they glow an intense bright orange, the only light and color in this space. And those eyes seem to illuminate everything around her, taking away that gray sort of landscape before. In those moments, you see as though a spell has been cast or her abilities are being used, and they kind of like flicker. You're seeing what looks like flickers of like a movie reel where they're just kind of changing back and forth. Both eyes, not showing the same thing, but different images, just shifting up, down, side to side. And she's kind of just focusing on that for a moment. Well, dreams are a place of their own. They're not a plane of existence, but they are a place. You and I, we have been graciously given the opportunity to visit these places through our closed eyes and when we focus on endless sleep. But there are creatures out there that can live here and build a home for themselves, and some that crawl their way in. Some of those are like leeches. They fester and grow on the darker sides and eventually crawl out from the very caverns that build up many of this space itself. It's odd. Do you know much of the dreamscape of this world?
Bits and pieces. I think I've come here before to rescue a friend, but that was a different circumstance.
Well, it's unlike any other. There are almost like echoes. It's an endless expanse. It seems to go on forever. And there are areas that seem like they've been trodden before, as though someone was there. But all that's left is just the hollow remains of an echo, of a footprint, a marking. But no dreams can be conjured in those spaces any further. It's like the place is hollow and void. it's in those spaces where the very elements of those creatures that I was speaking of almost fester and grow, as though some mind from a time long forgotten has made its way back into reality, into improbability. I'm sorry if this is all very complicated, but what I'm trying to understand is this Siren worm that you speak of is not dreaming currently, nor have I ever truly come across anyone such as his mind before, which leads me to believe that perhaps they are something else. One of many factors, of course, but when you describe to me someone almost festering in their own grandeur and, well, dangerous, the first thing that comes to my mind is those hollowed echoes.
Yeah, I think I've seen them before, and they felt pretty familiar to him. But is it really possible for something like that to become, I don't know, a person in the real world or in the material plane?
You know, sometimes when you dream and you have a really bad nightmare, where you wake up clenching your chest or sweating, those are dreams that feel real, no? Well, unfortunately, there are dreams that can come true, both good and bad. Sometimes even when you're wishing upon a star, you're truly thinking of a dream that's been your only ever goal in life. It's that potential that dreams is so tantalizingly filled with. And that's why the nightmare tries to, well, ensure that safety. Because in the wrong hands, well, if someone can dream anything they can think of, imagine the worst.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Well, try not to do that here, because if you do dream of the worst or think of it, it might actually happen. And I don't really want to deal with that at the moment. So if you could refrain those sorts of images, that would be great.
Right. Sorry. But along with Siren, there's this factory, and I'll save myself trying to remember, and I'll try and have Thorn speak about the factory, because I know a bit about it, but I don't want to get something wrong and then have one of the others yell at me for saying it wrong. Because I know they will. I know they will. Robbie, I'm looking at you.
Sure, I'll acknowledge.
Yeah.
A factory here in dreams.
And kind of on the material plane. It's really, really weird. I don't completely understand all of it, but it's fucked up. Oh shit, excuse my language. Wait, hold on. She's like trying to work around. She's not a kid, but she's in a kid's body. It's weird.
She doesn't notice anything wrong. She's just got her confused.
Great.
With that information, you see she'll just respond, "That's interesting." The nightmare's eye watches over everything, ensures that people who are asleep are dreaming and protected in their night's rest. But they also police the seas of everything else that expands around it. Not only is there moments of imagination appearing, but there's also land, a space which can be traveled freely. Now, there are settlements here, there are people here. These people are figments of imagination that have grown a sentience of sorts. But as for a factory that's trying to connect itself to the material plane seems almost illogical. There is no reason for dreams to go into the world of living and active. They have everything they need here. Perhaps it is the other way around.
Well, maybe it's they want those nightmare creatures, more of them, here, or in the material plane. Because
Perhaps.
if you said you can dream the worst, it can come true. Well, what if they don't have to dream it necessarily? What if they can just pull it right from here?
Direct, yes. Well, that is quite a situation. We've tried to prevent some of this from happening in the past. It's worked. Others have slipped through. You can't be constantly present and fixing every problem. But we keep a diligent eye out. And, well, the Caloric has many eyes, and he sees a lot. But perhaps the reason why we have not seen anything is because it is cloaked and hidden from view. Similar to what you would have on the material plane with charms that would stop divine from seeing through. They may have come up with something similar to stop the eyes of the nightmare from perceiving perhaps what is they see as mundane, but instead is actually heinous and an attempt at what you say, bridging into the other world. I would need to try and focus and see in those areas where there have been less visibility and more careful combing. But do you know who is involved in this? Is it this Siren that you speak of?
Yes, it's Saren Worm, Frederick Zardov, and a man named Gil.
Okay. I've noticed a presence a few times. That name, Frederick, that's come past of quite a lot. Nightmares,
Yeah,
specifically.
he's a problem.
Okay. Well, if he's causing nightmares for many, then clearly an issue. Right. Well, let us try and investigate that then. I will see what I can find on this side with the expertise of the Caloric, and hopefully that will at least guide us in the right direction. I may not be able to help you as much in the material plane, but this is my domain, and I can try and at least protect it from the worst. And as for this Siren, can you go into a little bit more detail as to how you feel when you are with them?
I think the world just gets a bit darker and sort of like closes in, as similar to how she felt in that cell.
Mm-hmm.
And the world is kind of shaping to look like it a bit. She just takes in a deep breath and yeah. Siren is a monster in every sense of the word. He's done a irreparable amount of damage to countless of innocents. He experiments on children, taking them from the streets, ripping them away from their mothers and fathers. I've seen exactly what he can do. It was his favorite, his pincushion.
As you're saying all of this, you haven't noticed it because you're focused on the intent of your words to make sure that you do not miss a beat. But there are sounds that replicate what you are talking about. The cries of people, more specifically younger voices, The rattling of cages, the footsteps, the dark shadows that begin to surround and leave the sky null of any sort of reach. You also feel the ground turn colder as though it's stone or metal. And you see as Lily's kind of looking past your shoulder, you feel that kind of cold caress lick up the back of your neck. And you see turning the half-shadowed entity of Siren, his form hunched slightly, looking forward. The shadow is always kind of leaving a bit of mystique to him, always seemingly present and shading him from pure view. But you just see the edges of him press out and kind of look forward, his eyes kind of not glazed over, but just seemingly loose as he just looks forward and ahead.
And seeing him, Thorn holds her shoulder and just grips it because she feels this like hot, lingering pain. And she just stares at this, I assume, figment of her mind image that she's created. She just glares at him and she can't really say anything else.
Can you roll an intelligence saving throw?
Why?
Okay.
I don't like when you ask me to roll randomly. It's not funny.
You turn to see as you pull back, knowing that it is an illusion, as it's a figment of your own imagination. But the uncanniness of how real it is true. And you fight back the urge to kind of move further away through fear alone. And you just hear this almost inhale from him as he just looks in your direction. Smile curls at the side of his lip. My little lamb.
Thorn looks away. She tries to shoo it from this dream.
Don't run away from your destiny. Come closer. I've missed you. You were always my favorite.
No.
Don't disobey me.
No.
Come.
Thorn tries looking at Lily to see if she's still there.
She is. She's watching you.
This is Sarah.
Quite an ugly fellow. It's okay. It's just a dream. And this one's not real. But clearly has had an effect on you for how vivid he is. She starts to walk up to him. I see what you mean now. He has a weight to him. One that's almost nightmarish. You see she kind of waves the flute for a moment. Air passes through it without her even blowing into it, almost like a... And you see all the shadows pull away. The presence of Siren is now caught in the daylight, where the shadow, which previously hid him before, is kind of pulled away, like taking the curtains from someone trying to hide behind them. And he is on full display. And that kind of fear is still kind of there, but for the most part, you see him without the aid of his kind of aura that he would normally have, stripped back. She starts looking around. I see what you mean with a lot of what you described before. I think we were almost onto something there before. And I think you might be right with this dream factory. Do you know who gave the schematics for the dreams? Or you're not sure?
No, I can only assume it was one of the three that started making this factory. I can only imagine that it was Frederick. Something behind anything that he does.
Well, I would hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I think it was this gentleman here. I think they were perhaps the one who have found a way to bridge into the other world. Because, you see, this person here is not truly a person. They are a dream. They are a thing which was created in this space. The people I had mentioned to you before, the people who are here, who call themselves members of the dreamscape, they have all been dreamt up by someone. Siren is just an imagination of some other person that has come to life. And I assume was gifted such a brilliant mind that has weaved their way through and created a gateway to become real themselves. There's always a link, though, with these dreams to the original person. Many of the dreams that we have in the dreamscape, those who live, they all pertain to someone in a material plane, either past or living. But this one doesn't have one. I don't see a connection there. That's why it's so difficult for me to find them. They are untraceable, to the point that leaves me with two options. One option is quite complicated, but the other one is what I'd mentioned before, that perhaps they are just a discarded echo that has come to life. But if we were to go with the other option, that's slightly more complicated, how much do you know about the other world?
What other world?
Oh no, that's going to be a tricky one. Well, I'm not very astute in this observation, but I've been told, and my theories have been confirmed as well, that where you originate from is Kurthaic. It's one singular world. The dreamscape is, think of it as a slither down the side. It is just a space here that is all-encompassing, and people can dream into it. People can dream, and they can find their mind here in this haven of imagination.
Okay.
But that's almost like a barrier to another world on the other side. One that's unreachable. One where things dream into that same space where we dream. But they come in the form of nightmares. They cannot be comprehended. The creatures you see when you are frightened, they are from that world. A world which is teeming with despair and loneliness.
Okay. Out of character, it's making me think of Zuna because she's from a quote unquote different world.
Correct.
Hmm. That's interesting. Okay. Um. So you're trying to say that somebody else from the other world dreamed up Siren?
It's possible, but we have no connections to that other side, so I can only see what we see, what we dream. What they dream, all I see it as is nightmares. Pumpkin, the Calorac, the nightmare, they are always seen next to these nightmares, but he isn't the one creating them. He is almost a warden, pushing them at bay, pushing them away, because they somehow find their way interjecting a crossroads, meeting in the dreamscape, where dreams layer over dreams and create night, and they are flushed away.
Is there, maybe I'm asking too much, but is there a way to travel and see this other world? Go to it from the dreamscape?
Not that I know. I don't deal in that sort of drama. It's complicated, and I try not to mess with things that I don't understand. It might lead to bad consequences. I only know this, and I try and safeguard this. To go further and reach out, it's beyond my capabilities, at least that I know of, and not something I truly wish to engage with. But this is now a matter that has entered the material plane, and thus has some of my jurisdiction in it. Your dream that has come to life, this Siren, it is possible that they have created a fortification here. If they have been dreamt up, then they have an affinity with dreams, and they can mold this space to their will to some degree.
My question is, who'd dream up something as awful as this? You know?
That's true. Who could? Why would they? Do they even know? A lot of questions. Dreams aren't so easily interpreted, even though some people think it's a direct science.
Yeah. About the other world, I think we know someone from it, and they might be trapped here. But she can only speak to one person, and somehow he can understand her. I have no idea how it works, but she describes that she describes another world, one that we don't know and are not familiar with, one where my people, she kind of gestures to her symbol on her head, my people have done terrible things. I don't know.
I know a few people who might be able to help you. They've dealt with similar issues before. I only know about the other world because of them. Perhaps they could be of assistance. Maybe guide you on the right path to taking her home. I imagine it's not an easy one, though. But if she is lost, I don't want people feeling scared and alone. Everyone needs to be reunited with their people at some point.
I agree. Who are these people that you mentioned?
Well, there's an organization in Calzeria. They act worldwide, but I have had run-ins with them quite a few times. They call themselves heroes, but technically, are they? Can be questionable at times, but they are known as the cherry-picked heroes. And, well, I know a few of them quite well, and they might be able to help you in this mission. I know their overseer, Lee. They are quite astute and open to change, and very helpful as well.
Would we have to go to them? Or would they have to come to us? Because we're thinking about destroying this factory in like a day, so.
Well, although I can't speak with Lee directly, I can try and reach out to Harold. They might be able to get in contact with you.
That sounds great. We reside at the Dane Neath's agency in Alexandria.
Okay.
But I bet you could probably find us through dreams or whatever.
Even though it might sound a little creepy, I'd mentioned before that I can see almost a direct path from a dream and reality. I know exactly where you are. So will a lot of dreams if you run into them. So I'd be cautious with that as well. Especially if you're dealing with one so adept at it.
But
I can reach out to them and see what they say. But I have a few questions for you because you're quite a unique breed that I've not come across. And I don't mean, she gestures to your hair, very lovely, but I don't, I'm not talking about the hair, I'm talking about what's inside. There's 3 of you inhabiting one space. How is that? How does that work?
There's 3? What do you mean?
Of takes a moment. And
I only know of 1.
Do you mind if I try something?
I don't know.
Well, I won't do it if you're hesitant. All I'll say is there's you, and I can also see that there are 2 others. One of them in a very deep sleep.
Show them to me. Please.
She plays a soothing song on her flute. 12 notes, no more. And you see 3 elements around you begin to conjure up. To your left, you see a meadow of pink-like flowers. In front of you, you see a warm, homely interior. And on the right, you see a cold, dark space. Well, these are the 3 minds that are in your head.
I don't really understand. I thought there was only 1. Besides me.
The mind is complicated, and I have only come across this a few times. Do you know what a warforged is?
Are you saying I'm like a robot?
No. No, of course not. You're a living being, first and foremost, if you weren't dreaming.
Just like clutches her chest like, oh, thank God.
To operate and live, they have a unique property, which is an iodine crystal located in their centered chest. Typically there, some places, other areas, but that crystal is mundane, has magical properties, but nothing more. But someone who's able to uncover elements of it to harbor a soul, and a life is given and brought into this world through not the normal processes that we'd expect. There was a different combination of things that took place to create this life. It is almost the want, the need. Sometimes that's all that there is to create life. It's almost like conjuring up a dream. You wish it and it may come true, it may not, but those who dream the biggest have a better outcome on it. There are others, examples of this, such as the amalgams. People who are built of other people. They are elements of what the general public would see as discarded elements. But someone pieced it all together, and although they are different people, minds, whatever you wish to call them, they come together and create a new one without the previous trauma or deaths that had become to them. They are a new person, yet again. It's possible that this has happened to you too. What was the first memory that you had?
I think at least the darker, colder part of her mind, which I assume is Thorn, it just gets way darker, and like a kind of blizzard starts to happen if it's cold over there, snowy. I don't want to talk about that.
Of course. This is your dream after all.
I don't understand. I don't understand any of this. I thought she died, and she looks over to the warm interior part. I felt it. I saw it. How can she still be here?
Well, I can confirm to you, if you'd like, that she's well rested and warm and safe.
She's safe.
She feels safe. She's sleeping pleasantly. She has no worries on her mind.
That's good. I shouldn't disturb her. But what about him? And she'll look to the field of flowers. That's who I think it is, right? That's Wrath.
That's the immortal that lays inside of you, yes.
Thorn's gonna walk towards it.
Okay. As soon as you walk closer, you see the window almost kind of like fade the distance. The other two outlooks kind of disappearing from view as this one takes on a full space. You see the ground completely covered in these pink peonies rising out The ground itself is vibrant green mixed with vibrant pinks, shifting between the two in some spiral patterns and others just kind of randomly placed around. The surroundings are incredible. It is a space that has no real sense to it. There are floating islands in the distance. The sky itself is mixes of blues and purples and oranges, but all of them swirling together in different spots. There is no sun, there is no moon. It is just a light that is just incandescent in the sky. Things look further away, but they're close up. The perspectives are all mad. But there is a beauty here, as it is untouched. It is clean. It is nature at its most primal. And you feel your feet just sink into the ground and you're here. You're in this space. Is there anything you'd like to do, Thorn?
Um, I guess I'll do my best to try and look for Wrath without arousing any suspicion. I mean, lack of a better term, but
Yeah.
yeah.
You find a hill to give you a better vantage point. You begin walking up it. And as you do, you feel the wind breeze through. It is beautiful and serene, and there is life all around you. But there's no creatures that you can see. There's no like beasts or anything. It is just nature. And you reach up to the top of the hill and you look back and you can see that kind of large, all-encompassing flower bed on the ground. You can see large jungle-like trees in the distance. That kind of smoky, almost aura of haze blocking some other kind of places from view as you're focused on this singular point. From the jungle, you hear screaming. The silence, the wind, the trees all stop as a scream takes place. Roll a perception check, please.
Okay. Perception.
24, nice.
I will say, if
Mhm.
Thorn does hear screaming, she's gonna try and go towards it, but I'll let you
Sure.
start explaining first.
Okay. Well, with the 24, you turn your head instantly, focus on the tree line of just jungle trees that are bent, warped, huge, wide, thick, small, short. They're all different, and some even like built on each other. It's very maze-like in its kind of creation, and it never really truly seems to stand still either. The trees, the bark, they seem to like shift and move at different instances, and just create this maze-like pattern that's constantly moving. But it's at a very fine eye. Otherwise, you'd look at it and just see just a normal kind of junglescape, but you're watching almost like the intricacies of it kind of taking place. The scream you hear ring through the trees as all the trees move and stop simultaneously. There is no more movement to the maze pattern. Instead, you can see just past them, as again, the perceptions are all slightly off. You're seeing things that are super far away, a bit closer than they should be. And there is what looks like a crack in reality. You see this kind of like crack in space where a dozen or so people have just ran through and have landed into this jungle. You see them running for their lives, some bleeding, some carrying dead on their backs as they are running away from something that has entered this space as well. You see what looks like a few demonic creatures, large, bulbous, some thin, wrangly, and just shadows dripping off the side of them. But for the most part, they are true and real as they emerge through and begin to just chase down these remaining dozen or so people. What do you do?
I run over, imagine some sort of weapon in my hand, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to try and attack and protect these people and attack the demons.
Okay. You begin to rush over. As soon as you take that first step down the hill, you feel it kind of like shift for a moment. You feel a rumble in the ground. Then you begin to hear the sound of twigs snapping, vines breaking. As you see that flower bed before, the peonies which are arranged in this large meadow, the entire thing begin to rise upwards. Just this kind of movement and shift, as though the land itself has come to life. And you, as you are still running in the direction of the screams,
Probably not
or do
anymore.
you
If
stand
this
still?
this massive thing growing out of me, I think I'll just try and hold on to the ground.
You kind of are off to the side as you're watching elements of it just grow and reach up, claws that drip downwards and are super long. You're seeing now as some of the almost grass begins to shudder slightly. It resembles that of fur, pink striations across green and white fur. Although it is made of grass, you see the underbelly of this gnarled looking creature that resembles a were-tiger, but the form of it is huge, grotesque. You're seeing bone protrusions spike outwards, claws at different elements of their body just scraping down the ground and kind of creating these ravines. But it looks as though the moss, the grass, the foliage that's grown on it acts as almost like this drape of cloth over most of its body. But you notice the eyes, you see the kind of large tusk fangs at the front, almost like a saber-toothed tiger, as they're so huge and thick, just rising outwards. And its eyes kind of just hover around, obfuscated by shadow from the kind of moss that grows over its face. But you see it's huge, daunting, but you feel the presence of wrath. It is him in his true form. You'd seen it momentarily in the dreamscape, a smaller form of it. This is perhaps his true full form, as he rises upwards and begins to bound his way. Even though he is huge and large, he's still fast. And you watch as it's just rushing over with the claws dragging behind him. He has left a huge crater in the ground behind. But you see it rushing over towards the jungle. What do you do?
I'll follow along to see what he does, because I know this is his memory. So I want to see what he does and who he remembers and how he acts.
All right. You rush over as fast as you can. Could you roll an acrobatics check at advantage, please?
Advantage. Rolling pretty good.
In the kind of trails of grass, it's almost like a cape behind him. You grab onto one of the vines and just ride it like a surfboard as you're just kind of like trailed behind, holding with one hand, trying to see past where he's going. And he ends up pushing into this jungled area, his claws reaching out and slicing through large elements of wood with a single strike. The timber and lumber just falling as the one strike, very anime style, just falls apart. Elements just cascading onto the ground. You continue to hear the screams of people, but you're kind of like seeing it from the perspective of like a kaiju battle. You're looking upwards to see this huge beast-like creature fend off against two demons that have arrived and seemingly surprised by this creature here. The fighting is quick, but you watch as blows are given both back and forth. The two demons kind of scrape into the hide of the beast and cause large gashes of wounds to form, blood beginning to pour out of different orifices and holes as he is just being kind of punctured away. But as well, he gets a few good strikes in, and you see one of the demons is heavily injured as a scar across their entire body. It's just left them kind of slightly ragged.
And are they demons... are they the same like height as him, or
they seem to almost change in their form. Some become slightly bigger, some become slightly smaller, and they just have this ability to almost shift their body around. But they all seem to have their own unique abilities. You can roll an insight check if you want to.
Okay. And I'm not yawning so much because I'm bored. I'm very entertained. I'm just very tired. Don't roll insight on me. Fuck.
Okay. With the fight kind of going back and forth and just the scale of destruction that's taking place, you're kind of like seeing elements of it, but not enough to kind of take in the full picture. At one point, you kind of like jump off to get a kind of curved look to see what's going on. And you eventually find the people. You find a dozen or so people just there hiding amongst the broken planks of wood that have just fallen down from the swipes and attacks. You see what looks like 20 odd people. 15 of them are alive and breathing, all heavily injured, all with their own wounds, some gaping, some kind of less so. And you can see they've been carrying a few of their dead with them as well. They all seem to be wearing the similar uniform. Nothing that's like official based, but they seem to be from like a tribe or at least a nation at least. But they've all kind of like scattered, huddled, and you see them just beginning to pray. Roll an investigation check, please.
Okay.
Okay. You hear them just pray to themselves, and you're hearing all sorts of like names being mentioned. You're hearing Moradin, Sahanin. They all seem to be praying to different gods. Even some of them listing through every single one as they're just kind of like reaching out for any sort of guidance. But you notice that as the fight continues and continues, they grow less and less sure about themselves and less prayful. At one point, they stop praying and they just look on at the fight that's taking place. Eventually, you see another blow take place and cut one of the demons directly down the center as they just split in half. And then you see the two halves of this creature just being dragged away by the remaining demons as they just pull themselves into the rift that was created before. And it just kind of like spider webs closed once again, no longer present. You hear this loud roar emerge from Wrath as his attention now swiftly turns to the people here. One claw reaches down and tears away all of the hiding elements that they were shaded by, and they are now on full display. And you see Wrath for what he is. If you didn't know who Wrath was before, you see what is a monster. You see a monster that is driven by some sort of hunger, by anger, by frustration, and his eyes are just wrathful. It is almost like a body that has been sleeping for so long and has been awoken and disturbed from their peaceful rest to now end up in this almost rage, a built-up rage of eons that has just been gathering and waiting to kind of burst in this moment. But he looks down. You feel his breath shift over you. But you notice his eyes look down at the people who have passed away and the people who are injured. And there is a flicker of almost humanity in Rat's eyes as you see them just kind of bending their knee to him and almost praying to him. They are just praying, hoping that he won't flick his finger in their direction, that he won't breathe too hard. And you see that the understanding isn't there. Wrath doesn't understand what they're doing. But you see, he just shifts away and continues to move. And they begin to follow. They follow him. They follow him back to where he was sleeping. And You see they carry their dead. And in this kind of like bowl in which he slept in before, you begin to see what looks like elements of like vines that are all mashed together. And as soon as these people begin to integrate and walk in, you see Wrath does nothing to kind of stop them. And if anything, almost guides them to this point. And there's creatures that begin to push their way out of the walls. Vine-like creatures, plantoid sort of beings that have some resemblance to humanoids. Arms, legs, torso, head. But they all kind of like look quizzically, unsure of these people. But seeing the dead, one of them moves closer. All of these vine-like creatures have what looks like a patina of like lighter pink vines with flowers growing on them. And they walk over and grab the body of the people who have passed away, and you see them bury them in the center. There is something that happens here. I'd like you to roll a nature check.
Okay.
19. Okay. Their bodies still fresh. Nothing that can be done to heal them. You see them buried into the ground, around the very center of this crater. You see what looks like a kind of flower begins to blossom in the very center, around where the bodies had been buried. A warm golden light shines from this small flower that hasn't even bloomed, still kind of in its closed position. You just see the bulb of it. It resembles the beginning stage of a sunflower. Its golden light shines, and you see everyone kind of shelter it. Both the people who are made of vines, but also the humans who had arrived here. And you see them all gathering close, for its warmth is mixed with energies of two worlds. One of primal energy, which the plantoids seem to gravitate towards, the other being divine, where these more divinely focused people gravitate towards too. It is an almost symbiotic relationship that seems to bloom from the two of them being here. As you're kind of watching from afar, you see that the longer these humans stay here, there is no home for them to turn back to. This is their home now. And you see almost like the perception of what Wrath sees of these people. Thousands of generations that come and go. But the evolution that grows from it is a people that have a binding here. Their hair almost is influenced by the surroundings. It becomes more pink in tint. You see the resemblance of that sigil on their forehead become more prominent as time passes. And you see the origin of what looks like your people emerge and form. As that continues, you see it kind of sweep around. Your vision kind of turned in kilter. And then you see a were-tiger walking up the hill you were stood on before, looking down. They are large in frame. But it's Wrath's form, just stepping forward. You are about half its height, as it's large, and you can see it's had a heavy fight, wielding 2 glass blades. The were-tiger sits on the hill and looks forward. What do you do?
I'll approach from behind and I'll sit next to him.
You approach, sit next to where he is, and you look around for a moment and see the surroundings have completely changed. The Feywild is wild, and it is chaotic. The once jungles that you had seen before have now turned into this almost graveyard of broken trees and has a misty aura around it. The crater that was there before, no longer. You now see what looks like a sandscape, a desert, where it was, with this pyramid of sand being filled constantly, like the bottom of an hourglass, as sand is dripping down from above, by this shadow hand that just appears in space. Up to its elbow, you see it just kind of like there in space, holding what looks like an element of sand. And it's just a constant barrage of a waterfall of sand on top of what was the summer court. You sit there and look. You can hear the kind of breathing coming from Wrath. It takes a moment of reflection. Just looking down.
Does he know that I'm here?
Doesn't seem to pay you attention. You hear a voice come out from Wrath. One that doesn't sound too much like him. Look at what we've achieved. Past all that sand. A home filled with heart and love. Nope. Can't see it. Is that an attempt at humor, Wrath? The summer court has taught me a few things. The jokes, I have taught them that. Do you forget I have watched over you for generations? Okay. My grandfather spoke very highly of you. Let's not sour his words with your brashness. As his voice speaks, you hear just almost like this, like the ringing in your ears of a voice you've not heard, but one oh so familiar. The scent follows as they speak, which is one of like flowers. Soft, sweet scents. Nothing acrid to your nose. It is all smooth to the palate. There's a moment that passes, and you hear Wrath just speak out. Allium, I have noticed your heart is slower. Your breathing is deeper and short. Does the curse affect you too? A moment of reflection. I need you to listen to me, Wrath. Not as I, the voice of summer, and you not an immortal, but the two of us as friends. The seeds we plant aren't for us to reap. We have built and defended, but that is all we have done. Delay what is coming.
Then we fight harder and stronger to break the curse that affects your people. Our people. No longer will we fight, but instead thrive.
I know, Wrath, but we need to think of what's next. Rose is with child, and I will be a father soon. Basil and Tulip have 3 beautiful daughters. You have been fighting for so long. It is not fair that we hold your attention on our little lives indefinitely. You are also slower. You are weaker than when we first met. Your body is no longer, and, well, you deserve a life to live, of your own choosing. Both of us are fighting something we cannot stop. And I'm ending this cycle. But I need you to help with that.
I would do anything for you, friend. You are more wise and brave than any of your aunts. But I cannot leave your side.
You can. Rose and Tulip will be leaving in the next few days. They will need you to protect the journey. I need you to protect my family. Just one last time.
I understand.
And Wrath, I need you to swear to me that you won't involve them in our history. They are the next, wherever they feel free to go. Not to return to this hopeless mess. Let them be free. Let them choose a life for themselves. Then, friend, rest, please.
Of course, Allium. I am not just your ward, but that of your bloodline. I will see that the next generation is safe. Then, I will rest for the moment you need my return.
Thank you, brother, for everything you have given us.
Before I depart, may I suggest 2 things?
Anything, right?
If they are a boy, Lucian for hope. If they are a girl, Sophie for your wisdom.
I don't know if I can convince Rose of that, but we'll see. Suggestion noted. You watch as the were-tiger form begins to retract, and you see a male figure, humanoid for the most part, slightly longer, pink hair, which is growing to white tips at the very edges. You see him just sat there, looking forward, the blades he carries placed in front, scars across his body, wide-shouldered but thin frame. He just looks ahead, looking at the sand, and looks up for a moment.
Thorn just looks at him. She wants to say something, but she knows he won't hear it. She knows this is just a memory. She just makes sure she ingrains every single part of him into her memory. How he looks.
With that moment, you spend some time reflecting. And for a moment, he looks over in your direction. And you see his eyes kind of interlock with yours for a moment. And he smiles and looks up as someone is approaching. You see, he leaves the swords on the ground. He stands up, smiling towards his wife as Rose walks up. And the two of them just hug. He wraps his arms around her waist and she places her arms over his shoulders. And the two of them just hug.
Thorn. She also tries to ingrain this in her memory. Just how happy they both are. How undisturbed they've. Just how peaceful this life is. And she thinks about the life that could have been lived here in this place. And she can't help but think it probably would have been better had Rose had not left.
There were no words shared in this memory, but the image holds still. And you see the sand which drips in the background just freeze in place. And you hear the approach of Lily. Quite a vivid display.
Yeah. I've never seen him before.
Well, you have his smile.
Thanks. She looks towards the sands. I can't help but think that this could have been stopped. If no one had left. Maybe it could have been. I don't know.
What I know about the Fey realm is little, but from what people tell me, it is untamable, uncontrolling. Kings and queens go within an instant. Life Life here is on its own cycle. Whether a decision is correct or not, it was made. Some things can't be changed.
I know. But I guess it's just torture to think about it. Think about what could have been done, what couldn't have been done.
I know how you feel. We all love to think about the what ifs. I dream about them all the time. And sometimes I wish they were true. But I learned that it's fighting and finding other things to keep going. You may not have what was, but try and build something to look forward to. Life's always changing. Why can't you have a say in it?
Right. I think
Well,
Thorn's
go
gonna
for it.
stand up and she's gonna walk over to Elliam and Rose.
Mhm.
She's gonna take in this sight and she's gonna hug them if she can.
They feel tangible. And your arms wrap around their waist, perfecting the small hole that was there. You see her space is kind of slightly given as she is not completely a balloon. She is still pregnant. And there's a space there for you to fit in nicely. It's almost like it was always meant to be.
Thorn just breathes in their air
Mhm.
and she just whispers, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I couldn't protect her. You can both forgive me whenever I see you again. And she steps back. She looks at Lily. What else do you wish to see?
Well, I am very curious to see what the other minds are watching in their slumber, but we don't have to explore them. This is your choice. They say curiosity killed the cat. Well, I don't want to be killing any cats.
Yeah, I don't necessarily like that saying.
Oh, I didn't realize how insensitive that was for your situation.
Yeah.
Ew.
Thorn she just chuckles a bit. Don't worry about it. Let's keep going. And then she'll try and walk where she came from, essentially.
Mm-hmm. You just kind of revert backwards and everything just turns into that kind of like stained glass painting where it's just focused on those two still embracing, but you are now out of it. You see two others there present. Yeah, you just kind of like feel the presence of wrath there. He was with you watching all of that, and he hasn't said anything.
Yeah. Thorn sort of like turns her head as she always does in the real world whenever she talks to Wrath in her mind. She goes to say something, but she stops. And then She finds something and she just says, "You could have told me his name was Allium."
I made a promise. He asked me. I wasn't going to betray him. I'm sorry if it hurt you.
No, not at all. You didn't hurt me. He did, in a way. But I don't feel angry. I just feel sad. But I guess that's not new. So I forgive you for keeping this from me. I forgive you for not acting when I thought you should. I know what you were trying to do. I don't blame you, Wrath. I don't blame you.
He doesn't say anything in response. He just takes it.
He was a great man.
I can only imagine. Do you think I'm more like him?
You are weaker than him. You are less wise than I hoped you. But yes.
You know, the whole thing I hated about that was that the summer court got their humor from you. 'Cause they all have shit humor now.
What?
Huh? Anyways.
How dare you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
But yes, I see many qualities.
Hmm.
You are your father's daughter.
Do you think he's still there? If we go back? Probably not, right?
I was told never to bring you back.
Well,
But I was also meant to guide you until you found your place. Go wherever the wind takes you.
I will. I love you, Wrath.
Enough of that.
You don't love me back.
He just kind of like starts freaking out in your mind.
I don't want this. No.
No emotions. No emotions. No love. Only rage.
What is this feeling? No.
I'll let him have a mental breakdown. And Thorn's gonna go to the darker side,
Mm-hmm.
where she assumes her memories are. She stands the at the very edge,
Mm-hmm.
trying to ready herself for the horrors she has to relive.
Mm-hmm.
She'll kind of look to Lily I don't think you'll have the stomach for this.
We don't have to go. We know enough about him.
No. No, we don't. There are things that I fear that even my mind hides from me. It tricks me. I need to see it again.
Be there as well.
Thorn's gonna walk in.
Into. And
You cut out a little bit, just like a tiny bit. I'm
That's all right.
sorry. You're cutting out earlier, but I got the bits of it. So
I thought I was trying to pause
Okay.
as well whenever it was happening because I could see it dip.
It's not happening as much though. It's only like certain moments, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I can
it's
see
fine.
when the volume just kind of like stops and I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, I gotta wait.
Dang it.
But oh well, that's
But
what it is.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna step into the void and we're gonna have a quick break since we are kind of halfway through already. So
Jesus. We are, oh Lord.
yeah, we are. So we're gonna have a quick break. We have had wholesome. Now we're gonna have some angst. So prepare for that.
Prepare for super angst, guys. It's gonna be so bad.
Get your alcohol ready. I mean, we don't endorse that at all. But yes, we'll catch you back in 5
maybe.
minutes. So see you in a bit. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And then I said, this isn't a bit that was choreographed. Always leaving Cassie on the edge of her toes.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We have returned from the break, and now we are preparing ourselves for despair. So strap yourselves in. It's going to be fun. Okay, well, as Thorn, you walk through the kind of, I'd like to call it a window, but where the previous one felt like you're looking into peaceful as you would looking out of your house window, here it's like staring into the abyss. It is a darker, more gruesome sort of feeling that hits the bottom of your stomach that cuts away the nice sort of scent you had before. Here it is sterile. There are no smells. It is just kind of a darkness that is all encompassing and never fleeting. But you enter. You dive in, and the ground around you feels cold. The walls are ever present, and the sounds are minimal, to say the least. But that is also broken up every so often. There are screams on occasion, there's the rattling of chains, there are light conversations, but they're always in whispers, be it scared of being heard or scared of someone listening. It is a balance between prisoner and slave. It is, what am I? Am I a piece of discarded meat? Am I to be tested on? Is this all my life is now? I have no hope of getting out of here. Where is the hope? Hope is supposed to be in the sign of a light, but there's nothing here. Even the lights are dim. They don't shine, they just glow. They just give off a radiance, but there is no warmth to them. Everything here feels hollow, devoid. There is no reason to be when you are here. Now, please, if you could describe the memory Thorn has.
Mm-hmm. I think it's, yeah, as she's walking down the halls, echoing, or the halls, but the memories and dreams kind of forming into the halls of the chambers where she was forced to walk down at certain points. The scent of metallic, like blood, fills the air. It's more of a stagnant, and she just hears the echoing of her footsteps. She's thinking about what he's done and what she has done to survive in this place. And as she walks, she enters this room, almost like those rooms that people would watch in on surgeries, pretty much. There's this wide room with one singular light on the top, a surgical light. And there's this table where this girl is laying down, and her upper torso, her face is bandaged. The only thing that you can see from her are her eyes, and they're wide and bloodshot. And she's looking around. She's awake for this procedure. And Siren is next to Thorn. He has his hand on her shoulder as he's letting these doctors that are surrounding this girl make incisions, small incisions, and they're peeling away at her skin. And she's just looking at this girl, but she doesn't feel pity. She doesn't feel sad. She doesn't feel remorse for this girl. Siren had said to her that she was a very special case. This girl. Obviously not more special than Thorn. But this girl was rare in some instance. Thorn doesn't quite understand. And so, in her mind, Siren has taken attention away from her. So Thorn, in a sick, twisted way, feels jealousy towards this girl. Siren walks up, pushing Thorn's back for her to follow, and she does. And she's face to face with this girl. Their eyes meet, and to this girl, Thorn's eyes look just like the rest of them, the rest of the scientists, just like Siren. Siren takes one of the scalpels from the doctors, takes Thorn's hand and places it in her hand. He's done this before, where he's made her watch and participate in surgeries or practices. Thorn knows what to do. She knows how to do it. She knows that Siren wants her to cut and to make the incision. And he lets her hand go with the scalpel in it. Thorn looks at the scalpel. She looks at the girl. And before anybody can notice what's about to happen, Thorn cuts the girl's throat and kills her. And this girl is choking on her own blood, and everybody rushes to this girl to try and preserve the life, to try and keep her alive. And Thorn is yanked away by Siren. And he's seething with rage. And he grabs her face and just pulls her away. And all Thorn can hear is the choking of this girl. And she eventually dies. That was the first time Thorn had ever killed anyone. And in this moment, in this dream, she doesn't feel remorse. She doesn't feel like I've taken a life. She just thinks, now he'll be focused on me again. Now I'll have him all to myself. And in this memory, Thorn is about 13, 12. She's young. And Thorn, looking into the dream, is disgusted by herself. She looks to the girl, choking on her own blood, the scientist unable to save her. Can't believe I did that.
I think it was necessary, if you ask me.
I didn't do it to save her. I did it because I hated her. I was jealous.
The reasons for it were wrong, but the intention was right. She shouldn't be left there to be experimented on. The reasons for it were not your own. Don't think that. You have been manipulated and groomed. In a place like this where there's nothing, emotion and connection is far, far beyond vision. You try and grasp onto anything. I can understand it, but I don't reason with it.
I looked like him when I had that knife. I could see it in my face.
And what does that mean for you now?
I don't know. But I hate it. I hate looking like that. Every time I hold a blade, I know I have that same look on my face. And I'll know I'll look exactly like him whenever I cut him down. I'll look like the monster he's turned me into.
Do you wish to proceed further down the rabbit hole and see where it takes you? Or is this enough?
No. And Thorn. The image fades and she continues to walk. And as she walks in this just dark black hallway, essentially, passing by are just faint memories of her instances with Siren. The pain, the cuts, the undescribable torture he's placed upon her. Her own screams ringing out through the entire landscape, echoing back to her. And as she walks, she's hearing Siren's voice in her ear. The things he's told her. What he's convinced her that she is. How she's perfect. And it obviously never sit right with her. Thorn just keeps getting more agitated and more angry, and that's what makes the thoughts and the memories sort of intensify.
Mm-hmm. You hear words. By the way, Robbie's going to be listening in, so don't worry.
You joined at a bad time, bro.
Continue.
You hear different words come through. That night, when you were your most fierce, I don't think I've ever cared for someone more. That display, that jealousy. I've never seen so much anger. In a sense, you saved me as much as I've saved you.
I thought you needed me. But no. I need you. And I'm never going to let you. You will never be free. And you will always be mine forever and always. Thank you for confirming this. My little lamb, leading others to slaughter. Beautiful, delicate, and dangerous.
Thorn just listens to this, and her footsteps stop. And the world forms around her again. She's looking into a cell, with Sarah next to her again. Hand not on her shoulder, but holding her hair so she doesn't run away. And she looks about 10, 11. And she's watching in horror at this thing that he created in this cell. It's the absence of life in a creature that still lives. It's a body, but trapped in this almost Akira-like monster where the skin has the same viscosity as mud, and it's just writhing and broiling and bubbling and moving like just a blob. This person, in quotes, suggested that maybe the other scientists could get a hand for Thorn. Maybe they can try and experiment on her. And this is what was made of him. This is what Siren says as a response to that.
He will lean into.
Yeah.
I saved you from this. This could have been you. But I chose not to. Why would I want to get rid of that beautiful face?
Thorn's just looking on, horror on her face in this moment, and she's crying. And she wants to run away. But with his hold on her, she cannot. Thorn, looking in on this vision. He said he loved me. For a time, I believed him. And the stupidest part of me, the smallest, most idiotic, still believes it. And that same part loves him back.
Lily just walks up beside you and turns your head away. She'll try and take your gaze away from the display in front of you.
She follows her hands and looks away, and there's tears falling down her face, but she looks emotionless, numb.
She'll just rub your hand. Do we have to continue?
No. I can't do this. I thought I could, but I can't. I thought I could find more. See something different that I hadn't seen before, but it's all the same.
Perhaps you're not ready to see what it truly is. His presence is too strong in your mind. You need to flush him away. See past his grip. Hard, I know. But might be the only way of you getting any clarity.
One time, I asked him why. Why he did this. And as Thorn talks, the memory shifts and it appears behind her of Siren sitting down with Thorn in his lap in the cell. I asked him why. Why me? Why he was doing this. And he said, because I was pretty. And because I was vulnerable.
Because you were pretty. And because you were vulnerable.
To myself, I swore I'd never be those two things again. Just to spite him. But I don't think it worked. I think he still sees me as that. I don't know how not to be that. I don't know how to change. And I want to so badly. I'm afraid that I'm always going to be like this. Even after I kill him.
The struggles we live with, we carry with us forever. But we have to find ways to find new outcomes, new moments to live for. That is the only way you will ever continue. Otherwise, what is there left? There's nothing. We can't sit around and grieve. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep pushing forward. To stop others from falling to the same fates. Do not be a story to be told in dismay. Be one of hope. Don't be the bad outcome to a tragic story. Be the one that finds themselves, forgives themselves, to stand triumphant. We can't let others dictate how our story is told.
I'm ready to get out of here. To leave this place, my memories.
She'll take your hand and guide you out.
Thorn just looks to the floor and lets herself be led.
You're pulled out, and you find the still image of just darkness inside. The ever so faint outline, with eyes staring back, that is Siren. An image that cannot leave your mind, for better or worse, mainly worse. There is still a third mind to be explored. I do not wish to push you any further if you are struggling.
Thorn looks to the third crossroad, essentially. Just a peek. Just a little. I just need to know that she's okay.
Then take the steps.
And I'll walk towards it.
Okay. You walk forward, and the outlines of this vision become like tendrils of smoke. You see the outlines, the squiggly lines of smoke, beginning to paint the rest of the surroundings into its entirety. The smoke itself has a trail, a scent on the wind, which is that of warmth, of both flour and heat combining into baked goods. It is a breath of fresh air that is filled with just a hearty home feel. You walk through and see the main entrance of the bakery with the door wide open, people walking in and out. But the first thing where your mind is pulled to, because of course it is their memory, you see the smaller figure, young Sophie, tending to a horse, brushing its hair, feeding it a small apple, and just rubbing its hands along its belly. You hear her talk and whisper, just seemingly speaking with the horse as though it's a very close friend. You hear a name mentioned for the horse. Trying to find the name. Where is it?
Don't do this to me, man. Don't do this to me.
Apple cider.
Yeah. Fuck.
Apple cider. As she's rubbing its belly. You see it kind of like shift and shake and give her a lick, which slightly lifts her off the ground, shakes it off. As she's there tending to the horse, you see a few of the neighbors pop out. They all kind of wave and smile, gesture to her directly, all with a very sunny disposition, very smiley, very happy. And at one point, you hear these heavy boots behind her, kind of stepping towards her with a very kind of wide sort of footfall. And you see this large lumberjack who just arrives and kind of gives a smile to her, ruffles her hair a little bit, and kind of walks in as you hear his belly grumble with hunger to the bakery. Inside the bakery, you see her vision shifts for a moment, and you see Rose. You see her smiling, laughing, talking with the proprietors, the different kind of workers here of this shop, and other business members from the neighboring area. You see everyone comes here, everyone is partaking, buying either to go or sit. But it's just a warm interior and a house filled with love. Is there anywhere else you'd like to go in this?
Yes, and I'd like to mention that this whole dream in Sophie's memory looks like it's colored with crayon and colored pencils, and it's all drawn up. I think Thorn kind of like fades out, and it all becomes this white expanse. A vast contrast from the dark expanse she was just in, and these almost like globules of memories start to spin around her, and just small moments. For instance, she's in the garden, and she's with a boy, and he has this curly brown hair, and these large circle glasses, freckles, and a missing tooth. He seems about like 9 or so, while Sophie's about 7 or 6.5, let's say. They're looking through the garden, looking at all the bugs that are scattered around, the bees that nestle in the flowers, and she scoops one up in her hands. And this boy comes over curious to see what she has, and she lifts up her hand super close to his face and opens it to reveal a grasshopper. And it immediately jumps in his face, and he falls down all panicked, trying to get it off, and the little girl is laughing just hysterically. And as she's laughing, she sees this blue butterfly come over and fly in her face, and she stops, and it lands on her nose. And she's so extremely still, forcing herself to be so extremely still. And she's trying to catch the boy's attention, like, Shiloh, look at it. And he's still dealing with that grasshopper.
Picking his nose now as well.
Yeah. And she just takes in the beauty of it, and then it flutters away. In a next memory, she's at the beach, and she's right on the edge where the water meets the sand. She has this little net in her hands that's usually reserved for catching bugs, but she sees the little fishies in the water, and she tries scooping them up with her net, but she can't. The water is too... She's just too much by the sand, so whenever she scoops it up, it's just sand, it's not fish. And she looks up to see her mother, sort of further out, at least in knee-deep water. And she calls her over. Look at all the fish, look at the fish that are over here, the bigger ones. And the girl runs over in this water, doing that weird water walk where she can't really, she almost falls a few times.
Sophie, careful! She just kind of rushes over to try and grab you from falling.
She's picked up in her mother's arms and held on her hip. And she just looks at all the fish that they point out, which are way bigger than the ones that were by the shore. And she's sitting in amazement at the life that's in the sea. Then that fades away, turns around her, the next memory she can see in this globule is she's in this toy store made by, and it's wooden toys, stuffed animals, knitted from yarn, and all these sorts of things. She's a bit younger, around like 5, and she's looking at all the toys on the shelves, and she picks up this toy crossbow, which couldn't hurt anybody, even if it wanted to. And this woman, presumably the owner of the shop in some sense, walks up to her and holds it up to help her shoot it, you know? Basically instructing her how the toy is to be played with. And she playfully aims it at this other man, presumably her husband. And she's helping Sophie aim. The man takes note of them playing. And as soon as the bolt releases and sort of just taps him, he dramatically like clutches his chest and pretends to fall over.
She got me. Where did that come from? Oh, the pain, misery. Oh no. Oh, my beloved. Oh, I'll never find you again. Molly Glenn, where will you be in the next life? Oh.
And
I was so dramatic.
Thorn is laughing. Or not Thorn, sorry, Sophie. Sophie is just laughing hysterically, clutching her stomach. And she eventually puts the toy down. It's not necessarily to her liking, and instead, the man eventually gets up and he hands her this plush horse.
I've been making something on the down low. Don't tell Molly about this, but we're going to keep this between you and me, all right? So, here's this. Who do you think it is?
Sophie just gasps immediately and grabs it and hugs the toy so close to her chest. And it's this yarn horse with like black button eyes, and she's just over the moon happy. Like hugging it, jumping around, squealing, being such a loud presence in this tiny shop. Jumping, saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you over and over and over again. And probably gets Molly's attention, but, you know, I think she knew about it from the start. And eventually that globule fades away. And the last one she sees, which is expands to the whole, instead of it, the white expanse, this globule appears in front of her and it absorbs the whole expanse. And it's the interior of the shop, but it's by the fireplace. It's dim, it's dark outside, probably close to Sophie's bedtime, but it's empty for a moment. The fire is still burning brightly, and giggling, hysterical giggling is heard as Sophie runs into the room, jumps on one of the couches and hides underneath the blanket, presumably running from her mother, trying to wrangle her down for bed.
Where did you go?
Her feet are like sticking out from the blanket and she's just can't stop laughing for the life of her.
You hear the sound of shoes clopping around for a moment, and then this game, and you hear the shoes taken off, and now a silent assassin is in the room as walking around barefoot, not making a noise, shifting around. Are you here? Oh, no, not there, not there. What about it?
Her
Nothing.
giggling every time just spikes up, and she tries to cover her mouth with her hand.
What was that? I thought I might have heard something. What about here? No. I thought third time's a charm, but doesn't seem like it. I don't know who you are. Sophie, if you don't show yourself soon, Abraham over.
The blanket immediately is thrown off of her, and she's like, "No! That's not fair!"
Well, life's not fair, and I need you to get to bed before you wake up in the morning and you start getting a sore head and start complaining. Need your rest.
No. And she tries to jump off the couch, but is probably caught by this woman.
Yeah, she'll run up and just grab her. No, you're not going anywhere. You're coming with me.
She squeals and laughs. And
all right, I'm going to do it. You force my hand. Paralyzing kiss, and she just starts kissing your neck and kissing your head.
She's just laughing, and she looks so happy in this moment. And there's just warmth everywhere. There's not a hint of darkness or evil or maliciousness. It's just warm. And watching this, Thorn, all of these memories, Thorn is smiling a little. But this one, she's crying. And she's smiling. She just feels pain. And eventually, the woman brings Sophie up to her room, starts to tuck her in with all of her stuffed animals, brushes her hair, and starts to sing a small lullaby. And Thorn just listens. She sits on the floor next to the bed and leans her head on it, as if she's laying her head on her lap. And she just stays there for a long time.
The moment settles. And even though the kind of memory seems to fade slightly, the focus on the bed with the two of you there is held in space and time. But the singing continues. The singing seems to be ever present now. And you feel Lily walk up beside you. It's all for her, isn't it?
For both of them.
I get it now.
I couldn't save her. And I'm scared that if I go back, if I go to that house, she won't recognize me either. I'm afraid that I'm gonna hurt Rose, like I hurt Sophie. I don't know what to do.
I think you'll know once the time is right. I know it sounds very blasé, but you'll feel it. I'm not a mother myself, but I know a mother's intuition is very strong. It passes over, and you can almost feel it yourself. There is a bond between parents and child, parents or guardian. You'll know. You'll know when the time's right to go and see her.
Thank you for letting me see this.
Thank you for sharing such a beautiful moment with me.
I don't think I'm ready to go yet. I want to stay here until I wake up, if that's okay.
Of course. In dreams, time moves by more rapid than you may realize. But I have a say in that. I'll let you go back to any memory that you've seen. Spend a day. See whatever you like. And then when you feel ready, just wake up.
Thorn looks to Sophie and Rose. More towards Sophie. Will she know if I'm here? I don't want to wake her up.
I don't know. This is a dream that, although is hers, you are living in it now. Perhaps she can hear us, perhaps just like a fated dream, she won't remember any of it. But if I were you, I'd make the most of it while I can. Not often do we have sweet dreams.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I would leave you to it. And I'll reach out to you with some help. I know a couple of people. And
I think Thorn just
Mhm.
pulls her into a hug.
Oh, okay. And she leans in and kind of squeezes you tighter. That's all right. You had me going for a little bit there. I was quite close to crying myself. Here we are.
Sorry.
Tears of joy.
Yeah.
It's very sweet. You've lived a very complicated life. And I do hope that you get your happy ending. All three of you.
Thank you. I mean it. Thank you.
I don't offer this special treatment for anyone. So you're very welcome. But I will be in touch. And I will see if I can reach out to my friends.
We'll be ready to hear from you.
Just let me know when your plans are in motion.
Of course. And Thorn, she stands up a bit. I'm gonna look around some more.
Of course. And she'll kind of like walk away. Her presence not really felt anymore, although the binding of her abilities stayed.
Thorn's gonna look at Sophie and Rose again, take in this image, listen to the humming,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's gonna start walking again. And the white.
Excuse me.
She stops.
There's space for one more if you want to be here.
I can't. Not yet. I'm not ready.
Well, I'd like a hug.
She just runs over and hugs her.
Mm.
Hugs her tight. Just buries her face in her shoulder and just hugs her and cries.
Sophie reaches up and just hugs into you. And as you hug, you also feel Rose embrace the two of you in this moment where you are face to face with yourself, in a matter of speaking, and both of your mothers. The humming is ever present still, and the embrace feels real and warm, and a hug unlike anything that you felt. The pressures of other people's touch fade away, and it is almost a cleansing feeling, like washing away any of the dirt that was there.
In this moment, Thorn would normally say something like an apology, but she doesn't. She just hugs them both super close and cries into them,
Mm-hmm.
taking in their scent, essentially, and just breathing them in.
There is almost even a spectral form of wrath that wraps around all of you, encompassing in a huge hug. Although his form is semi-spectral, it is there and present. His job to protect, although being a failure in this moment, he tries to shelter from harm. You just hear Sophie just whisper, "Thank you."
Thorn just cries more and hugs her so close. And as she hugs Sophie, she's subconsciously thinking, maybe they could become one again, but she knows that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
She knows no matter what she does, she'll never be like Sophie again, for better or for worse. But she just hugs her.
Okay. Eventually, time passes, and even though in this still frame, the time comes where your eyes, whereas before sleeping, they feel ever so heavy. In this instance, they feel ever so light. And it's almost a struggle to keep them closed as you want to stay in the moment for much longer. But your body says otherwise. And your eyes wake up.
And I immediately hug Sienna, no matter if she's asleep or not.
Yeah. I think we're not going to do the extra thing
Okay.
that we were thinking of.
Okay.
Because the time is slightly
fair enough.
fun.
Fair enough. It's for another day.
Yeah, there's other things there. For those watching, there were other plans as well, but I think instead you and I are just going to have a string of messages to go over certain things, because I don't want to throw you too much into the deep end.
Yeah.
It has also been information overload. I don't want to bring too much to you, but there we are. I think that's pretty much it. For
Robbie, any thoughts?
they got the weird shit.
Yeah, you were like thrust right into the bad shit immediately.
I mean, I think my text sums it up pretty well to you, Cassie. During all of it, I was like, ew! I'm so glad we're gonna kill him.
Like, literally at the fucked up thing, I thought it was so funny, and it was just breaking my focus, was just as I was describing that one thing, like with the girl, just ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. I'm like, oh my god, everybody needs to stop talking to me. Everybody needs to stop talking. That is like the entire time, like from the point where I started narrating, you know, until the point where like I think like 30 minutes after Robbie joined, it was just ba-ding, ba-ding, ba-ding. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Hey, I wrote you 2 messages.
You did, but Jack decided to text me. Another fucking group message thing started to go off in a different thing I'm in. I'm like, oh my god, stop. Please stop.
Yeah, the other thing I wrote was also Siren is gonna die squared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 ways.
Times 2.
Yeah.
Times trillion. Disgusting.
This was
Ew.
good though.
It
I
was
like
very-
this.
I like the wholesome. It was very sweet.
You also didn't see, but we got to look into Rath's memories, and I know my dad's name.
Oh my god.
My dad's
That
name,
is
I know
so
it.
funny.
I know it.
Oh,
I could have gone on like a random tangent.
Oh,
Yeah.
you cut off in that last
Fuck
bit.
me.
But it was relatively fine for the rest of it. Relatively fine.
Yeah. It was just that middle bit, which was like, fucked.
Yeah, yeah. It's just when I joined, you know, it just
It
had
was
to go
literally
to
at that
the,
point, Robbie.
harbinger of darkness over. No, I'm kidding.
The angst
But
was
I mean,
real.
like, yeah, I could be like, okay, he's saying this. Like, oh, don't worry about it. We got it. We see each other.
Yes. Finishing
I'm glad I
each
got
other's
to fly on the wall.
Sandwiches. Fly on the wall, yes.
fly on the wall. But yes, well, we'll end this now because there's no point in continuing to stream since we're just going to probably talk to each other for like the next half an hour. But
What the people don't? You don't want the people to know.
we're going to be talking about weird stuff. There's no point. Let's keep it short and sweet.
Fair enough.
Also, for kind of future sessions, there will be more of this coming when the time is appropriate.
Yay!
So
I love
what I
deep
want to
shit.
do is for everyone to have like a moment like this where we can kind of focus on their character for a moment, just so we kind of see a bit more of them.
I had a lot of shit, and I needed to get past it. But my bad, guys. I didn't mean to
you've
take up a
got
whole
trauma.
session, but
You got trauma, dude. Trauma.
I mean, I found it very funny because I thought you were gonna get to the trauma stuff first. So I'm just imagining you traumatized on stream. Meanwhile, I'm at a fucking water park. Whee!
yeah, seriously. Like I was during that, I had to like check the text just so I can get the notifications on my screen, and I was like, oh, fucking dinosaur water park, god damn it. I want to be there. Not in this shithole I've created.
You see why the random tangents that I was talking.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. Let's end it.
All right. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed
Thank
it,
you very much for watching.
like,
Sorry
subscribe.
if I traumatized you guys.
give a thumbs
My
down
bad.
if you want. Either way, engagement is good.
Boom! I
yeah.
hate your backstory. Blah.
There we are. You said it, not me. Thank you very
Okay.
much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.